3 ways Paul Heyman can betray Seth Rollins and return to Roman Reigns. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jennifer. Have a nice day. For the WWE family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Thank you. Paul Heyman has been increasingly skeptical about Seth Rollins and his capability to lead the Vision. As a result, the Oracle has been strongly considering reuniting with his tribal chief, Roman Reigns. During a backstage segment on Raw, Rollins talked to Heyman about the possibility of not being able to defeat Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel 2025 and what that could mean for him and his vision. The Oracle was straightforward, telling the Visionary that not only might he lose the faith of the locker room, but also the trust of his allies, Braun Breaker and Bronson. When Rollins asked about the future if he falls short again against the American Nightmare, Heyman replied that he would have to reconsider why he chose the Visionary over Roman Reigns. The WWE Hall of Famer's remarks were something the World Heavyweight Champion needed to think seriously about. However, if Rollins is defeated by Rhodes, Heyman might not hesitate to return to his former tribal chief. With that, here are 3 possible ways Paul Heyman could betray Seth Rollins and return to Roman Reigns. Over the past few days, Seth Rollins has been fixated on earning a victory against Cody Rhodes, to the point of disregarding advice from his oracle, Paul Heyman. On SmackDown, Heyman tried to stop Rollins from heading to the ring to confront Rhodes after the Visionary took down Randy Orton with his signature move. However, the World Heavyweight Champion didn't listen and went back to the ring to attack the American Nightmare, but ended up getting countered by the Crossroads. At Crown Jewel, Heyman might try to help Rollins by instructing him to use the World Heavyweight Championship to his advantage. As the Oracle laughs from ringside, the Visionary could accidentally strike Heyman with the championship belt instead. This would allow the American Nightmare to pick up the victory, and Roman Reigns could then make his return. The tribal chief might deliver a retaliatory spear to Rollins as payback, leading to Heyman rejoining his former leader in the bloodline. In the closing moments of WWE Crown Jewel Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman might approach his Visionary and tell him it's time to finish the match and finally earn his long-awaited win over the American Nightmare. Both Rollins and Heyman could share a brief laugh, but Heyman's trademark grin could signal that Roman Reigns is about to arrive. The Oracle might then walk away from the world champion as the original tribal chief takes control of the situation. After Reigns overpowers Rollins, he could reunite with Heyman, restoring him as his wise men. The two could raise their hands together while standing over a fallen Rollins, leaving Rhodes surprised at the turn of events. Later in the match, when Seth Rollins connects with his finishing move on Cody Rhodes, the referee might begin the 3 count. However, just as the count reaches 2, Paul Heyman could pull the referee out of the ring, stopping the pinfall. An angry Rollins might chase Heyman around the arena, but near the entrance ramp, Roman Reigns could appear and confront him. The tribal chief's sudden arrival would catch the Visionary off guard, giving Rhodes the opening to capitalize with his finishing move and win the match. Afterward, the former WrestleMania rivals, Rhodes and Rollins, could share a long, tense stare-down in the ring. So, with all these possibilities, it will be fascinating to see if Rollins can finally break his losing streak against Rhodes. As for Heyman, his actions may either reveal cracks forming in the Vision, or set up a shocking reunion with Roman Reigns, and the bloodline. Roman Reigns isn't done with the Vision at all. Having returned last week after a month-long hiatus, the OTC kicked off the proceedings this Monday night on Raw. He was interrupted by Paul Heyman and Bronson Reed. The head of the table told the Aussie grappler that he is levels above him. After Reigns asserted that he could handle Reed anytime and anywhere, Heyman came up with a proposal. The Wiseman challenged his former client on Reed's behalf to an Australian street fight at this weekend's Crown Jewel PLE in Perth. Reigns, almost nonchalantly, quipped that it would be too easy for him, and he accepted. Heyman and Reed decided to leave the arena after the OTC agreed to the challenge. Reigns, however, was clearly in a mood to compete and joked that the Vision members were retreating like a couple of cowards. The Auszilla was angered by the comment and rushed toward his rival. Reed and Reigns began brawling in the ring, and the action eventually spilled over to ringside. With security stepping in, neither man could gain a decisive advantage. Reigns eventually struck the self-proclaimed tribal thief with 2 Superman punches. For those unaware, Crown Jewel will be the second one-on-one meeting between Reed and Reigns. They last met at Clash in Paris, where the former undisputed WWE champion defeated the Adelaide-born wrestler. Afterwards, Reigns reclaimed his sneakers that Reed had previously taken from him on 2 separate occasions. Just as the tribal chief was tossing those self-autographed sneakers into the crowd, he was suddenly attacked by Braun Breaker from behind. Breaker and Reed then worked together to overwhelm Reigns, leaving him needing medical assistance. After his confrontation with Bronson Reed earlier in the night, Roman Reigns appeared in several backstage segments with the USOs. First, Jimmy and Jay promised to have their cousins back at Crown Jewel. Reigns told them to stay calm, insisting he didn't need any help this time, especially not from the Yeet Master. The OTC looked Jay in the eye and reminded him of the pep talk he had given the San Francisco native just before Clash in Paris. The tribal chief repeated that Jay should stay focused on separating himself from the rest of the pack and making the most of every opportunity. Reigns asked who was the talk of the town at the moment, and Jay responded by naming someone else. The former Bloodline leader shook his head, wondering why it wasn't Jay. Upset by the comment, USO stormed off. Moments later, the OTC asked Big Jim why his brother was taking offense at being told to follow that advice. Later that night, Jay USO interrupted CM Punk and LA Knight during a segment where they were debating who should be next to challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. The Master of Yeet walked down the ramp and reminded everyone that he never got his rematch for the World Heavyweight title he lost to Gunther. Knight dismissed that claim and suggested that Jay had lost his momentum because he wasn't thinking like Reigns. The megastar told USO that his best chance for success might still be in tag team competition. Just then, Jimmy USO came out, and Knight mentioned that he had no issue with Jimmy, only with Jay. After hearing enough, Jimmy superkicked Knight. Jay was then struck by CM Punk after the latter teased him by calling him Little Roman. Backstage, Jay confronted Big Jim about coming out during his segment, which ultimately led to the USOs being booked in a tag team match against Punk and Knight. After Jay left, Jimmy told Reigns he would always look after the Master of Yeet. Big Jim then told the OTC that neither he nor Jay was anything like Reigns. In response, the tribal chief calmly stated that while Jay had been World Heavyweight Champion, he had been more like Reigns than Jimmy ever was. And that's why Jimmy should stay out of his way. The Spear is one of the most iconic finishing moves in WWE history, a simple yet impactful maneuver that looks dramatic when executed well by the right superstar. Over the weekend, WWE released a video highlighting what it considers to be the 10 most powerful spears of all time. Braun Breaker claimed the top spot, with the featured spear being one he delivered less than a year ago. To clarify, this ranking focuses on specific instances of the move rather than ranking the wrestlers who use it. Still, it's no coincidence that WWE showcased 10 different superstars in this top 10 list, including Caitlyn and Big E, who aren't typically recognized for using the spear as their signature move. This means that legends closely associated with the move, like Goldberg and Roman Reigns, appear only once each. Interestingly, neither took the number 1 position. Instead, WWE crowned Breaker's spear on YouTuber iShowSpeed at this year's Men's Royal Rumble match as the most impactful spear ever. Even though there were many worthy contenders, both from Breaker and others featured, it's easy to see why the iShowSpeed moment stood out. As iShowSpeed hyped up the crowd, Breaker charged and delivered a powerful spear that sent the audience into a frenzy. Breaker is known for putting maximum intensity into every move he performs, and the moment looked especially dramatic given iShowSpeed's smaller frame compared to typical WWE competitors. Thankfully, it was all part of the show, and both walked away unharmed, though fans still talk about how intense that moment looked. Reigns and Goldberg spears also earned spots in the top 3. Reigns' spear on Brock Lesnar that sent them crashing through a steel cage wall at the Greatest Royal Rumble 2018 ranked 2nd, while Goldberg's spear through a chamber wall on Chris Jericho in 2003 came in 3rd. Meanwhile, the unforgettable spear from Edge off a ladder into Jeff Hardy, who was hanging from the tag team titles at WrestleMania 7, landed in 4th place.